Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the ability to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host Mike Lepre, here with my co-host Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
We are on to episode 85 of Screwball this week, and we are coming to some of the last episodes of the entire year, as we are heading into the World Series this week. Just a day after the recording this, the first game will be played, and then by the time this goes live, the second game will be that night. So the season is quickly coming to a close here, as we have at most 7 games left, at worst 4 games. So we obviously saw some good play during the championship series, which we're going to go over in this episode here. And we're going to look forward to the offseason a little bit, see what that has in store. Some teams have already been making moves in their managerial staff and coaching staff, so that's some stuff to go over as well. But to start the episode kind of how we did last week, since there's no real topic, we're more than in the thick of the playoffs. We're at the end here. We are just going to cover some news that is pertinent to around baseball, and then we're going to get into what we kind of thought of the championship series and where we think the World Series is going to go. So I'll let Frank, as I did last week, take over with his news segment, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so a couple noteworthy things to mention here. The Cardinals find their new manager, Oliver Marmol, 35 years old, bench coach for the Cardinals over the last couple of years, and has been in the organization for the last 5 or 6 years. He was a first base coach. He's bench coach under Mike Schilt. They announced him as the manager today. He's the youngest manager in MLB, the major leagues right now, and I believe he was the first manager of color for the Cardinals in 60, 70 years or something like that. But yeah, Oliver Marmol, the new manager of the Cardinals. So we'll see what he could do. And the real big piece of news to mention here is the CBA is up on December 2nd. And as of right now, all signs point to no deal by the 2nd. That's not, the worst thing in the world, of course. But if it goes a couple weeks past the 2nd, it will delay free agency for sure. And it will delay a possibility of spring training. All likelihood is it's going past the 2nd of December as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a chance that free agency and spring training are delayed. So that's the news. That's the rumblings right now throughout baseball, is that there will be a delayed CBA, contract, and a possible lockout going into next season. If it goes all the way to the regular season, I don't think so. I think it pushes till mid-December is the winter meetings. I think they'll probably have something done by mid-December. I would say Christmas, give or take. Christmas, New Year's is the worst, I think that's what you're talking about. If you don't have one done by Christmas, New Year's, first couple days of January, something like that, you're talking probably a lockout, February, March.
Right.
So I think your biggest dates are end of December, maybe early couple days of January, or you're looking at a lockout.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because if you don't get one done before then you're pretty much already looking at delaying the season. And if you delay the season, you might as well if you're a player, you might as well just go all in for it. So, you got a couple dates coming up, but December 2nd is the big deadline. Everything after that there's no leak. So we'll see though, they could work quick and get through that. Wouldn't be surprised to see it hit the deadline, but I'm thinking more towards the end of December.
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of rumblings that the two sides are far away on stuff. So God only knows where that can go, and hopefully there's a quick enough, resolution to this, as opposed to, God forbid, a delayed season or delayed spring training, or free agency gets messed up, because free agency already has been kind of messed up in the last few years. So hopefully that gets resolved fairly quickly on their end, and then we can just continue worrying about baseball as opposed to worrying about the what ifs of baseball. Hopefully they integrate. Hopefully good stuff comes out of it. Hopefully they integrate some positive change into the game, because this is the chance to now. This is where you can actually, I know for me personally, I would like to see the DH in the NL, which might all but be a lock at this point. things like that. The pace of play stuff, take it by a case-by-case basis, as long as they don't go crazy like they kind of want to. The players you might hear some pushback on that. There's been the robo-umps stuff, that they've been trying to implement. So, you never know how far they go, but the players are going to definitely push back on stuff, and that's probably where the two sides are pretty far off on. So, we'll see what happens there. I hope that there will be something done by the end of the year, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore, because it's always just something hanging over our heads as baseball fans. So that is that. Did you have any more news segments there? It wasn't really much this week, right?
That was pretty much it. Everything else kind of relates to our playoff series and our anticipated World Series.
Right. So let's get into that. Since there's not much news really to talk about quite yet, in the coming weeks there's gonna be plenty of free agent stuff and changes to staff, and obviously a World Series winner, so it'll be enough to talk about. But so we had the two championship series in the past week. We had the Astros and the Braves obviously winning their respective series. You had the Braves beating the Dodgers, Astros beating the Red Sox. Both series ended in Game 6. You had Yordan Alvarez on the AL side for the Astros winning the MVP. You had Eddie Rosario on the NL side winning the MVP. Both of them putting up absolutely monster statistics in the 500s, in their averages. Both teams, definitely deserve to be here, and they're playing, in the playoffs. You have an Astros team beating a red-hot Red Sox team, and you have a Braves team really all season kind of just floating around, being average. They only finished with about, I think, 93 wins or so, very under projection for them. You had Acuna go out, and, you had Soroka didn't work out, and you have all these problems. The bullpen was a mess. Marcell Ozuna was a problem. You have the bullpen was a mess, like I said, and then you still overcome the 106-win Dodgers, who were the favorites, really, even when the season was first starting. And then you add Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. So to beat a team like that doesn't just take luck. So you have an impressive Braves team coming in, and you have an obviously seasoned, impressive Astros team coming in, and, helmed by one of the great managers at this point, probably Dusty Baker. So,
free agent to be.
Yeah, so the Astros have a lot of choices after this year with him and Correa specifically, but I think the championship series were good. I'm interested to hear what you kind of thought about it. And we kind of talked last week. We thought the Braves series was almost locked up after they went up 2-0, where the Red Sox-Astros series really could have gone either way, but they'd obviously went in the way of the Astros.
Yeah, I thought the AL and NLCS both were exciting. The Braves, they have the best record in MLB since July 30th. So since the deadline deals they made, the swap of Pablo Sandoval for Eddie Rosario, incredible. Incredible at the time. We should have clipped what we said about that and put on today's episode. That's what we should have done.
Yeah.
So I think me and you were just mystified about how that was the deal.
Yeah.
So the Indians and Pablo Sandoval have a big play in what's going on right now. But the ALCS was hard fought. Similar kind of style of the NLCS. Scrappy team for the year going against kind of a powerhouse. The Astros have some of the best talent in all baseball. They play the game kind of right. Play good defense, steal some bases, hit behind runners, work the counts, stuff like that. While the Red Sox do similar, but they just don't have the talent to stick up to teams like that. While the Braves, coming into the year, you go, they're a powerhouse, but throughout the year they weren't. Some guys, and they weren't a powerhouse. They were a scrappy team. Again, going against a Dodgers team who's got the most talent in the league with their moves they made and the money they're willing to spend.
Right.
It makes them, the powerhouse of the whole Major League, not just the NL, the whole Major League. Yordan Alvarez, been over 500, first player in MLB history to out offense the whole opposing team in the last two games of a series.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had more hits, more runs, more RBIs than the whole Red Sox team put together in just the last two games. Yordan Alvarez. Carlos Delgado Jr., we like to call him.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet swing. He looks like he's been around forever. He's like 23 years old. He could run. We've seen him have a triple.
Mm-hmm.
He goes against the shift. That double hit against Sale right down the left field line at Fenway. It was incredible.
Yep.
His ability to play left field. He's learned how to play a little bit of left field. The Crawford box seats really definitely help him. Shortens the outfield. Kind of just gives him a little one area to kind of deal with, especially with the other defense in the outfield.
Yeah.
So he's really become the superstar we all kind of expected. But the ALCS, it was the Yordan Alvarez series. Without Yordan Alvarez, Red Sox probably win that series because he was a man amongst boys.
Mm.
On the other side, Eddie Rosario, one of the hottest hitters you're ever going to see.
Insane.
History. He would make it history as well. We'll get into that later. Became one of 5 players to have 14 hits in a single season, a single postseason series, I should say. So we'll get into that later. But immensely hot, stealing bases, smashing home runs, playing great defense.
Yeah.
He played a ball in the gap. That one play where he snow coned it, never laid out, but he snow coned it. I mean, that's like 95% hit. That was big. That was a big play.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was game 2 or 3. He snagged it.
Yeah.
He was incredible. He won NLCS. His son was there. I had some good pictures of his son just being like in complete awe. So that was pretty cool to see. But it was amazing to really see someone like that come in and just make the impact on the team. And it was cool to see an underdog kind of team like the Braves franchise really to come in there and beat a powerhouse like the Dodgers and give us a World Series that I think many probably predicted before the season.
Probably, yeah.
But June, July, you probably looked and said, it's never going to happen.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
With the A's and the AL West, even the Angels fighting around, the Mariners fighting around, the Astros were kind of, just kind of floating, not too up or, down.
Mm-hmm.
Braves being beat up in the NL East and losing guys. You're thinking, they're probably not going to, it's not going to happen. And it ended up happening. But it wasn't the way people expected it. So that was a little different.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
It's pretty cool to see. But it was just a lot different than anyone else would have seen it.
Yeah, it was a unique route they took to get here.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite the year they thought they'd have.
Yeah.
So.
But some things I want to mention going forward with the playoffs here. We have with Eddie Rosario in that series. Again, I think we want to bring this up. I want to bring it up. How much Dave Roberts actually hurt the Dodgers. Game 2, Scherzer pitched.
I believe so, yeah.
Couldn't pitch Game 6. His arm still didn't feel right. So by you forcing him to pitch Game 2, you lost him for the series. Because he would say, maybe pitch Game 7. He wouldn't have been right still. Again, if he's not able to pitch that whole game, we'll give you that chance to pitch 8, 9 innings. Don't pitch him. And he lost him for the series. So that was one big move. We already mentioned that last week. But his decision-making on when to use his pitchers and using all his pitchers and using Urias, you pitch him at the bullpen. He starts that one game, gives up 3 home runs. 2 in the first inning.
Yep.
Not a great idea. But using 14, 15 pitchers, it felt like, all the time, pulling them out in the middle of bat or middle of the innings and stuff, it just didn't make sense. I just didn't like the way he managed, and his inability to understand how historic Eddie Rosario's run was, and to pitch to him was just really idiotic. And we've seen that, in the clinching game. You're a guy in second, and you pitch to Rosario there. Well, Freddie Freeman is hot too. Yeah, but he's historically hot. I'll take my chances. And Freddie Freeman, hits a hard ground ball, we're out of it. Rosario, he had a fly ball base. I mean, anything can happen. I just didn't like that. And then later in the game, the guy in second again, and he lines all the way out to the warning track. Would have put the game away.
Yeah.
And you didn't walk him again. I don't care who's batting after him. He's historically hot. You shouldn't pitch to him.
Yeah.
So I think Dave Roberts really let the Dodgers down. Has been. He really has been. The talent on the Dodgers have covered up David Roberts' inabilities to manage for many years. That Dodgers team should have more than that Mickey Mouse, people like to say, World Series ring.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
I think it's pretty blatant. Highest payroll, some of the best prospects, willing to pay everybody, willing to trade anybody, and bring in the most talent. I mean, these are all-star rosters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
This team could be an all-star roster. This could be your NL all-star roster, and you'd be like, yeah, that's a good team.
Yeah.
Like that's a good all-star team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you can't win. You can't manage a 7-game series, a possible 7-game series, because you're an inability to manage.
Yeah, he simultaneously overmanages and undermanages. You see him overmanagement in the bullpen. He just is pulling guys out when they shouldn't be pulled out and overpitching guys when they shouldn't be, and just overmanaging the bullpen instead of kind of just letting it ride. Some of these guys, and then undermanaging where you should have walked Eddie Rosario, who was the hottest hitter on the planet, even with Yordan Alvarez walking the same earth.
Yeah.
Just walk him.
Yeah. If Freddie Freeman beats you, he beats you.
Yeah.
But he beats you in the situation you want to be beaten.
Right.
You want to be beat by I got the force out anywhere. I get a double play, whatever. I got a guy who's hot right now. and he beat me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna let Roddy Rosario, who beat me, he's batting 500 with no force play. I'm not gonna let him beat me.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand there. Like, I get Freddie Freeman's good, but I mean, Eddie Rosario is, he's the best player on the earth right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's the hottest player you're gonna see. There's no one better. He's putting up softball stats.
Yeah, literally.
Slow pitch softball stats. The guy's mashing the ball. It doesn't make sense. I think Dave Roberts. If it wasn't for, it was a couple years ago, 2 years ago. I think he lost in the World Series to the Astros, and they were kind of thinking about things. And then he came back and won the World Series last year. Like I said, people like to call Mickey Mouse World Series. I don't really agree too much with that, but he'd be gone.
Mm-hmm.
He's been close to being fired from that team. I think if you had a good manager there, that team's unstoppable.
Oh yeah.
You had Dusty Baker there, that team's unstoppable.
Yeah, forget it.
But Dave Roberts has held that team back and that franchise back, and I just don't see. I can't see him as a good manager. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
People love Alex Cora. Compare him to Alex Cora. Where do you compare them?
Yeah, because you have Alex Cora, who took a team last year without him that was absolutely not good, even though in a shortened season. And here he comes back in a team that, if you don't have Sale and you really didn't make too many additions other than Schwarber at the deadline and stuff. And you have a team that ended up making the wild card with 92 wins for really actually a team that I even saw as a third, fourth place team that might be selling. So there's a big difference there.
A lot of the managers you could have threw on that team, that Dodgers team. Imagine they had La Russa,
mm-hmm.
with Dusty, managers like that. What would they do? You have a guy who's just scooting by the fact that you're paying the players and he's just getting lucky with it. So it's something the Dodgers need to really look at, because that window's all but closed, really. Trey Turner's going to hang around for another year. Seager's gone. Scherzer's gone. Or contracts are up, I should say, but most likely they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So Seager's contract's up. Scherzer's contract's up. Justin Turner is pushing 40 years old.
I think Kenley Jansen's coming up too, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's getting older.
He's like 35.
You're looking at Bellinger, who was one of the worst hitters in all of Major League Baseball. The playoffs, he did all right. Chris Taylor's contract's up. You're looking at Kershaw. I think his contract's up, 1, and 2, he's also pushing.
He's like 34, I think.
Pushing mid to late 30s as a starting pitcher who has a lot of innings. Otherwise, your bullpen, I think Joe Kelly, his contract is coming up, right? You're starting to get up on these contracts. Gavin Lux hasn't been the player you kind of expected him to be. Will Smith's going to be needing to get paid soon.
You have Trevor Bauer still an issue.
Trevor Bauer, you have to pay a bunch of money, or you have to get rid of him. Pujols most likely isn't coming back. So you have a lot of question marks. And then you have Roberts as your manager. I think is another big question mark.
Mm-hmm.
So Dodgers are in flux right now with a division that's coming. Giants, I don't know if they're sustainable for next year.
I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know. But can't count them out after this year, I guess. Padres, some of the most talent behind the Dodgers and Astros.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some young teams, never know with Diamondbacks, never know with the Rockies, so you never know what they're going to do. But you have at least one good team that's ready to go to the World Series, the Padres. And you have another team, the Giants, if they could just figure out what they did this year. They're another team.
Mm.
So the Dodgers are in a tough spot right now, and I think they need to kind of rethink their manager position, I think.
Yeah, and they might. They just might, because this is a team that, they went to the championship series. That's great and all, but the mission's not a success for a team like this unless you win the World Series.
You could have took all the coaches off that team. That team was going to the championship series.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Does that coach help you get there? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
When you look at a coach like Cora or Snedeker or Dusty, through what the Astros dealt with last year and stuff.
Yeah.
They got you there. They helped you get there. Roberts did nothing to help you get there.
Right.
Not many times, if ever, have I ever said, well, that was a good decision. I think that was actually a smart move. I wasn't thinking about something like that when I watched a Dodgers game. I'm like, what is this guy doing? All the time. If it works, you go, you don't think about it. But it doesn't mean it's a good decision. Some other notes here. McCullers is out. Will be pitching.
Yeah, that's big. That's big for them.
We have 2 long decorated coaches, I should say, because Snedeker's been with the Braves for a long time. Long time. Been around a long time. He's going for a World Series with the Braves. I believe his son is a hitting coach for the Astros, or a coach for the Astros, so that's pretty cool. Then you have one of the most successful managers in all baseball without a World Series is Dusty Baker. Most wins, highest win percentage, most seasons, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have some decorated coaches, well-likable coaches. And then you got one franchise that everyone's rooting for, I think.
Yeah.
A franchise that no one's rooting for, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some storylines here. It should be exciting. Starts tomorrow. You know, I think is the Braves' hot run got to run out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Daniel Murphy with the Mets. You know, obviously you get cold at some point.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Does that run out with the Braves? I don't know. I don't think so. I think the Braves take this series. I really do. I think just because they're getting the same kind of hits the Astros are. When they need that big hit, they're getting that big hit.
Right.
Austin Riley's been nuts the whole postseason. Eddie Rosario is hot. Freddie Freeman's getting hot.
Ozzie Albies gives you good hits when you need him.
Albies been doing good. Duvall's been hanging around. Soler just got back. You know, he's a guy who swings one bat. You know, one swing, he wins you the whole thing.
Yep.
Darno's been great behind the plate. Their pitching's been unstoppable. The bullpen's been great. That's their weakness, and they've been great.
Right.
Well, then you have the Astros, who their hitting has just been unstoppable. Their pitching has been a ruckus. They don't know what you're getting pitching-wise.
Yeah.
Defensively and offensively, you've been just consistently great. But pitching-wise, it could blow up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then you give up 2 runs to the Braves right now with some of their pitchers, Max Fried and Charlie Morton, guys like that. That might be all she wrote.
Yeah. And not because I don't think most people like the Astros at this point, or at least this Astros team. And don't get me wrong, I like Dusty Baker, and I actually like Altuve, and there's some guys on the team I do like.
Alvarez.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah, I don't just hate the whole team at 100%. You know, there's some pieces I like there. But overall, I mean, I think this is going to be a good series. I say that about a lot of series, but this will be for sure a good one. But I do think the Braves can edge it out because I think that while the Braves have the pitching advantage and the Astros have the hitting advantage, I think when you get to this level of play in the playoffs, you need that pitching. I think you need, 3-4 guys you can really rely on. And like you said, their bullpen's been impressive for, a part of the team that was kind of a liability all year. And now you have a piece of your team that, I mean, look at, what was it, Tyler Matzik that had those clutch strikeouts.
All 3 of them.
Yeah, striking out Mookie Betts and Pujols. And
Will Smith's been great.
Yeah, so there's a lot to like there, and their starting pitching has been unbelievable. So I think when you get to this level of play, when you get to this deep into the playoffs and you're in the World Series, I think pitching wins you ball games. And I think that their hitting is going to be able to do enough because I don't think the Astros pitching is good enough to keep them down. As long as those hitters can stay hot, because you saw what happened in the Astros series, all of a sudden the Red Sox bats went quiet. Now you could attribute that to the Astros guys picking it up and putting some good innings in there. You have an offensive heavy team like the Red Sox just shutting down. That's what happens. So if you have an Astros team who, say, Yordan Alvarez cools off a little bit, Bregman's kind of been cool, stuff like that, if they start to cool down a little bit, what happens? Then maybe the Braves, they take that and run with it. So, but you could say the same with the Braves. Maybe their pitching all of a sudden blows up now, and then the Astros offense runs away with it. So either way can happen, but I do like that the Braves have the pitching advantage, and I think that can carry them right to the title. I think that's where I'm kind of feeling. But if the Astros won, if the Astros won in 5 or 6 games, it wouldn't surprise me because they play like that. Like you said, they get timely hits. They get the pitching when they need it, and they got a good manager behind them. So, and they got a chip on their shoulder, even though they're the team that cheated. They do have a chip there, and they're kind of like, well, let's go. I know you hate us. Well, let's go.
And I think one thing you got to look at, the Braves can play the DH game. Corey Soler back and Jock Peterson. Can the Astros play the pitcher's got a hit game? Does Alvarez have to go play the outfield in Atlanta where you don't have the Crawford boxes? Or do you have Alvarez not play your best hitter?
I don't know about that.
So there's a problem they're around to. Well, the Braves they're fine.
Oh, and just quick, I forgot about Kyle Tucker. He got out there too for the Astros, a good hitter.
Yeah, he's been great for them.
I always forget about him. Everyone does.
He's been great for them too. He's been just steady.
So you got to figure out, like you said, you got to figure out something when you got him out there, and do you throw Yordan out there, and what do you do with Michael Brantley? There's decisions to be made here.
The other one is not defensively. He's not over the top.
Right. So I mean, you got some decisions to make when
and you can say, oh, you put someone at first, but then you got Yuli Gurriel first. Oh, Yuli Gurriel used to play third base. This is not counting their defense at these positions. He used to play third base. Okay, then you got Bregman there. Well, Bregman could play shortstop. Oh, you got Correa there. I mean, there's not much spots.
Yeah.
Unless you get playing on a pit. Alvarez is going to go behind the plate for Martin Maldonado. I don't think you really got much of an answer here.
Yeah.
So, and that weakens the defense. And again, and some of these games that might not be much high scoring. You want to take a chance with a Michael Brantley or Don Alvarez outfield.
Yeah, who might not be able to run down a ball like like a Kyle Tucker can or someone like that.
So that's something to take note for. One other thing I noticed a lot this postseason, especially that Braves clinching game against the Dodgers. I don't know how so many pitches can go down the middle without hitters hitting them. And not just they're not swinging. They don't hit them when they're swinging. They're not even hitting them, not even fouling them. They're fouling some of them, but there's a lot of pitches down the middle. A lot. Matzik threw a lot of pitches down the middle.
I think the pitch that got Mookie Betts to strike out was right down the middle.
Fastballs. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. It's surprising.
Yeah, you'd think one of them.
So it's just surprising how many pitches right down the middle in great spots. Even that bat with Eddie Rosario, he fouled off a couple. He missed the first 2 fastballs right down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then he fouled a couple pitches off that were good hits, good pitches to hit.
Yeah.
But a lot of pitches right down the middle, which shows to you hitters struggle. You know, maybe it's the launch angle and crap like that. But also shows you don't walk people.
Yeah.
Make him beat you. Because don't walk him, because then you get one guy has one good hit. You walk somebody, one guy has one good hit, he scores. Or you get to hit. It's first and second. Then you get a bloop hit, lucky hit or something, an error, and all of a sudden you give up a run because you walked the guy.
Well, you saw, we were watching MLB Network before, they were showing how the Astros create problems on the base path. It all started, Jose Altuve got a walk,
Yep.
and he goes to second, pass ball gets him to third, a ground ball to the shortstop, he scores. It's like...
And the Braves have done that too.
Yeah.
The Braves have done that too. I mean, the National League, there was, I think, once caught stealing the whole playoffs.
Oh, wow.
Which shows you maybe stealing bases, and the stolen base should maybe come back in baseball because no one's prepared to throw you out.
Yeah.
In any team. Maybe the Cardinals, but
Yeah.
no team's ready to throw you out.
I think we've both been barking up that tree for
Because
a
no
little
one's
while.
even used to it. They're like stealing bases. What is that?
Yeah.
It's like teams bunting against the shift and stuff. It's like, well, these teams aren't ready for this.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff that they've never prepared for.
It's true.
So that's something to take note of if you're a baseball fan. How many pitches down the middle we're seeing that are just being missed. And it happens. I mean, don't get me wrong. But I just feel like it's been a lot more I noticed this postseason than I've ever noticed before.
Yeah.
There's at bats where Mookie Betts, there was 3 right down the middle fastball, and he didn't hit him.
Yeah.
Wasn't even close.
Straight up challenging him. Challenging one of the best hitters in baseball,
It
really.
wasn't like Matzik's throwing 103, whatever. He's still mid to high 90s, but that's just the average anymore. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot. Eddie Rosario missed a couple, and he's red hot.
Yeah.
And then crushed a home run. But I mean, there's been a lot of pitches where it's like, how do you miss that? How could you be right there? You know, fastball's coming, and you just don't. You don't even foul it off. Not like you're right on it, and you foul it, and you're like, damn. I mean, just blatantly miss it.
Yeah, just swinging right through it.
It's
yeah.
like, oh man. So it's something to take note of because how many missed pitches, missed opportunities, and missed great pitches is the team gonna have? You can't miss those. Too many.
I agree.
Or you're gonna lose the whole season's just right out the window.
Yeah, and it was a problem in the season too. I remember just watching Yankee games and being on Yankee Twitter, and well, granted they had a bad problem with hitting this year, but there were even people saying that online, like, why are these guys missing pitches right down the middle? So
all the time.
Yeah, it wasn't like an isolated incident where it happened for a month.
It's a lot of pitchers in the postseason and a lot of teams, and they're just missing.
Yeah, it doesn't
even
make
guys
any
that are red
sense.
hot, Eddie Rosario. I mean, that's usually when you're red hot, one pitch and that's it.
Yeah.
You get a base hit, and you're just moving on.
Right. Yeah, the ball's just always looking like a beach ball. It doesn't matter where it is. Yeah.
So that's something to take note of. Other than that, though, I expect to be a really good World Series, and exciting. It's good baseball we're gonna see in the World Series.
Yeah.
Not just straight power versus power or nothing like that. You're gonna get some base running, some defense, some pitching, some no-namers. You want to consider them no-namers. Some big-name superstars. Like, you're gonna see a little bit of everything. You're not just gonna see your, hopefully we hit a couple home runs or a 3-run home run and that's it. You're gonna see some real baseball.
Yeah.
This is always exciting.
You're gonna see some scrappy play because these teams. Well, granted, the Astros are a very, very good team, and the Braves are. It's not like they have no talent, but they seem to be scrappy. Like, they put together hits and they string together walks and hits and they play baseball. They play fundamental baseball.
And you're going to see good managing.
Oh, yeah, from both sides.
There might be a decision here or there that makes you think it maybe could cost the World Series, but overall you're going to see some pretty good managing by two really good managers.
Yep. So. Yeah, every last detail is going to have to be fine for both the teams. This is where it matters the most, so... it'll be a good World Series, and I think the Braves will take it. But again, I think it's pretty close to call. I don't think there's one big favorite.
No. But other than that, last little part here is a trivia question. So Eddie Rosario, as we mentioned earlier, became the 5th player to have 14 hits in one postseason series. Who were the other 4? And there's some couple good names here, and I would say 2 surprising names on this list. First off being 2004 NLCS Pujols, of course. He had 14 hits. The 2004 ALCS Hideki Matsui, 14 hits. 2 postseason greats. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to 07, Kevin Youkilis in the ALCS, had 14 hits. Good player. Good postseason success. Was a little surprising.
Yeah.
And then the next one is uber surprising. Other than if you remember the year, you kind of go, that guy was killer for them. But the 2012 NLCS, Marco Scudero with 14 hits. He was unbelievable for the Giants, but it does surprise you because he wasn't the greatest of hitters. It's more of he was just like he's pretty good. Defensively, he can play everywhere, and he's going to hit a little bit. But to be red hot for a series, 14 hits, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, he was more of a fill-in guy, you know.
For that team, too. He came in, they traded for him from the A's, I believe. Was it the A's that year?
That sounds right, but I can't say for sure.
Something like that. He traded for him mid-season or towards the end. I think it might have even been like right at the deadline or like in the waiver at the time. It might have been the waiver deadline. He came in and was like a superstar for him.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't there all year. I just don't remember exactly the order of events. It is almost 10 years ago now, which is hard to believe. But
so your 4 other players with 14 hits in a single postseason series are 2004 Pujols, 2004 Hideki Matsui, 2007 Kevin Youkilis, and 2012 Marco Scudero. And Eddie Rosario joined them on Saturday night.
Well, to go back to Marco Scudero here, he actually came from the Rockies that year. Okay. And in 61 games with the Giants that year, batted .362 down the stretch. So, yeah, it sounds like he was traded at the deadline.
And defensively, he's always been pretty good.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so he just went absolutely berserk, and carried it over to the playoffs, and I think that's where he finished his career. So, you never know. You really can't predict who the postseason heroes are going to be.
Yeah, and again, he was an older player at that time too.
He was 36. Yeah,
it wasn't just hitting his prime here.
So you got it's like I said to you before we started recording. I said if you had Eddie Rosario win an NLCS MVP on your bingo card, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, he won a lot of money.
Definitely. Other
than that, not much else here for the World Series and the postseason outlook here. Just like to throw out a couple of things. We always do with our other sports. We had the Raiders win this week, so that was good.
Yep.
The Giants won, surprisingly, so that was exciting.
Beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. The Chiefs lost again. Basketball's back. NBA's back. Hockey is rolling on.
Mm-hmm.
College football's going nuts. NASCAR's coming to the deadline here, or to the end in their playoffs.
Yep.
But one thing I wanted to note was my big reason why I wanted to get into this section today was yesterday I noticed something. It was in the Bucks-Bears game, football. And at the end of the game, it was a blowout. It wasn't even close. At the end of the game, there was a sign. A young kid had a sign, and he said, "Tom Brady helped me beat brain cancer." Brady went over, gave him his hat, gave him a football. And the kid, and I believe it was the kid's father, and either his father or maybe his mother, but I seen the picture of the one kid. It was the kid for sure, and the father. The kid broke down and cried. The father got pretty emotional there too. But it was just a pretty cool moment for obviously the greatest football player of all time to do that. But also it showed you the impact that a player or a person you might never know or even see with your own eyeballs, just on TV, can have on somebody dealing with their own issues. So I thought that was pretty cool to see that, and then take a time out of his day there to go over there, and make a fan for life.
Oh yeah,
make a memory for that kid and that family that no one else will take from them. So it was pretty cool just to see what these athletes, and you see it in baseball.
Oh yeah,
you see it. Obviously, it was Tom Brady, so it made it was a huge issue because it was Tom Brady. He's the greatest of all time.
Mm.
But you see it with baseball, and you see even with these smaller teams, and you don't see it on TV as much. The impact that these players and these athletes and these franchises and these sports icons and teams have on somebody. And like I said, they might never know him.
Right.
Kobe Bryant passing away. You never knew him.
Yeah, but yet you felt like you did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I thought seeing that yesterday. I just, wanted to bring that up again. It's the impact that these players and these athletes can have on somebody, and the difference they can make in someone's life without them even knowing is remarkable. And also shows you that someone's always watching.
Yeah. So
not make an ass of yourself or something. So I seen that yesterday. I thought that was pretty cool. I just wanted to kind of bring that up.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that hopefully it's not lost on them that even just showing up you even hear that from interviews of guys. It's like why would I not play? There's some kid in the stands that couldn't wait to see me, or so,
Joey Votto this year, the young girl. He got thrown out in the first inning, and then he bought them tickets to bring him back the next day because he got thrown out in the first inning.
Yeah, right.
It's that idea, of someone spending their hard-earned money to come watch you play, and the impact you have on them without you knowing them, or even knowing they existed, is incredible.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom, especially for someone especially of Tom Brady's stature, who is known by almost everyone, even if you're not a football fan, and you can have a personal connection like that with someone is incredible,
Yeah.
And he's probably had a lot, and he's 41, 42
Yeah.
or something like that, so he's probably had a lot of encounters with fans like that. I mean, not to say that encounter couldn't have impacted him differently, but I mean, imagine his whole career, how many stories he's heard and lives he's touched. So it's the athletes have to remember, not that you can be a superhero, but at least if you try to be, it makes a difference in people's lives.
And you hear that story too. I mean, you get older players still hanging around the league, and a young guy comes up and he's like, "You signed a ball for me when I was 8 years old at a baseball game. You signed the ball for me." And you don't remember that. I remember it, obviously. You see that story all the time.
Yeah.
Or you didn't sign a ball for me.
Yeah.
We've seen that story too, and that resonates with people. So I just thought that was something to noteworthy, because I seen it yesterday, and it was it was kind of all over social media, but it was just a pretty cool story. Just want to the importance that an athlete or someone that you don't know and will maybe never know, or even see with your own eyes in person can have on somebody. It's incredible.
Yeah, you're right, and that crosses all sports lines, no matter what it is. So
it doesn't even have to be a sport.
Could be acting, could be music, could be
entertainment,
Yeah.
political. It could be anything. The impact someone has on somebody. So it's just noteworthy because it was really awesome. And I mean, personally, as someone who likes Tom Brady, even though I know, but it was pretty cool. And
Yeah.
someone dealing with that
Something like that. Yeah.
at a young age, and then have
Yeah.
maybe the greatest living legend, and he's still playing.
Yeah.
To come over and give his, and spend the 2 minutes there to talk to him. It wasn't just like, here you go. Like, sat there and talked to him, shook his hand, gave him some stuff. It was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe even with the World Series, some heroes will emerge and have some moments like that with some fans. So
Oh yeah, and we're already getting it. Eddie
Yeah.
Rosario won't be buying food or beer in Atlanta no more.
no, definitely not. Especially if they win it all.
He
Oh
don't
my
have to
God.
pay for nothing.
No.
So you don't have to worry about that. He's got his free meals for life out there in Atlanta. Anytime he's hungry, you just go show up and they'll buy it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's crazy what goes on out there.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But with that, that's a good note to go out on. So that's all I have for this episode. We'll look forward to the World Series, and we'll come back next week and may have an end to the World Series, or we may be looking for the last two games here. So
For unbelievable excitement.
Yeah.
Because Game 6 and Game 7, especially Game 7, is nothing like it.
yeah, so
Game 6 could be just as crazy as we've seen in 2011. It was even crazier.
yeah, definitely.
So
So that's what we're looking at here, and like I said, that's kind of all I got. So unless you got anything else, we can kind of just wrap her up.
no, that's pretty much it. But I want to just put this out there. I believe we said it earlier, either last week or the week before. Game 3 is always the ruckus game in every postseason series, at least a 7-game series.
Right.
So I'll predict some nonsense to happen in Game 3.
On Friday?
Friday night, some call's gonna be made. Someone's gonna fall down. Alan Craig tripping into the guy. Ball bounce off the guy's head into the crowd. 30 innings. Brett Phillips, all that ruckus. I seen that video today because I think it's the anniversary, and I was just like this. My heart was just not ready for what happened. So I would imagine Game 3 is usually that game. I think maybe Game 4, but you're talking Game 3 is usually ruckus. So just be prepared. Friday night could be quite the ruckus.
Yeah.
Especially Halloween being right there.
Oh, forget it.
Always
Yeah.
seems to be like the black cat kind of thing. So look for Game 3 to just be flat out ruckus in the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah, definitely. And then you may even see, because Sunday's game will be on, unless there's a clean sweep, but Sunday's game will be on Halloween, so that could be, you could watch for that too. You never know.
Yeah. So it's gonna be. It's just. That's always my thing. Is Game 3. It's one of the biggest. It's probably just about the biggest game of the series too. Right behind Game 1, obviously. Game 3 always is the kind of deciding game, but it's always just ruckus because I think everyone knows that.
Yeah.
It's the deciding game. You win Game 3, You got it.
Yeah.
You almost got it.
You're in the driver's seat. Yeah, for sure. So, with that, have a happy Halloween, everyone, because we'll be coming back after Halloween's over. Enjoy it. Be safe. If you have kids or if you're still trick-or-treating or whatever, enjoy it. And we'll be back next week with some maybe results of the World Series, or we'll be out looking
some craziness.
The
I
end,
bet.
yeah, the end results. So what do you think? That's all you got, or
that's it? That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. You can catch this podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Google Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @RoomMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Take care.